Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name is Lumen and today we are jumping back into Monster Hunter Wilds once more. This time around, specifically for male character creation and customization. Now, before we get into that, I will just say, if you didn't know, Monster Hunter Wilds is the next main entry into the Monster Hunter series and it's looking phenomenal. A quick and dirty review of the character creator here. I'll say that it is basically Monster Hunter World's character creation system, but better in every single conceivable way. Thumbs up from me. 100%. If you'd like to do a deep dive, however, to discover all there is to discover, you can find some links below, and as always, you'll also find the timestamps down there. Use them. Find what you're looking for in this video, and leave satisfied. Speaking of this video, we're going to be having a look at the features in the character creator, so all the little extras that you can tweak to show your character off better. We'll look at the full customization options for male, then some randomization options, the voices, the starter armor, clothing, and underclothes options available. At the end of the video, I'll include some custom creations that I made for the thumbnail, and there's probably much more. There you go. That's it. Let us begin. Now, before I show you the different presets available, I will just press G on my keyboard over here. I'm not sure what your console equivalent is. It brings up the display options menu. Here you can change the lighting that you are using. And this is quite useful. Once again, if you're making a character, especially for the skin tones that you pick, you might not realize when you're using the default lighting how warm or how cool the skin tone is, or how it would look in daytime or nighttime lighting. So it's quite a nice one to have. You can rotate the lights with Z or C here. You can sort of switch the lights around, but I will say that's a little dangerous. Again, it can sort of mess with the perspective a little bit. You can display armor if you'd like. You can remove the hair as well. That saves you a trip to the hair section of the menu if you want to see what's going on with the shape of the face. And then something new is the hunter face profile. You can actually enable a profile of your hunter's face from the side, or from the front, or from both sides at the same time, or the front and the side at the same time. And it's, you know, it's not necessary. It's not that important, but it's a nice extra. It's just nice to see. I have actually never seen this in a character creation system before. I've seen it in my graphic programs. I've seen it in Photoshop. I've seen it in Aseprite, where they have a preview that's sort of zoomed out a little bit so you can see it at a glance. It's kind of cool in that, but I never even considered using it in something like this. And honestly, yeah, it's a decent idea. I mean, that's them. That's Capcom trailblazing. They're trying some new stuff here that could actually become useful. Who knows? Maybe you're going to see that popping up in character creators going forward just because of this. Then you can set your character to be animated, or you can just pause them completely, or you can have them do all sorts of things. If you'd like to see them in motion, they can walk, they can run, they can pose with their weapon, they can attack, and a whole lot more. There's just a lot. And I mean, this is good because it allows you to basically see your character in every quote-unquote light before finalizing things, and it's invaluable. It is just invaluable. Then, the facial expressions, also kind of important because sometimes your face moves around in ways that you did not anticipate or expect. So you can look and you can check if everything's working well. I will tell you that these different expressions that they have here, you will see them in game. Because while your character doesn't talk a whole lot, they do give lots of thumbs up, and they do smile, and they do look worried and angry, and this, that, the other. So this is kind of stuff that you'd probably want to look at. But that's it. Now, before we jump into the actual customization, or at least the presets, I will show you that you can look at all the color choices at a glance here. These are the color settings, every single one. It's everything from your hair, to your eyes, to your teeth, and your makeup. All of it. So you can actually just review them and change them right here. And speaking of reviewing, there is a design summary that you can also use with 4 different pages that shows you your character. This is your character broken down into numbers. If you want to copy a character from another person, all you got to do is take 4 different screenshots of these 4 pages. You send that to them and they can set it all up from right here, because you can actually change it all from right here. Very useful. Super cool. The only other thing that could potentially have been better than this, and that's not always better because it's more risky, is save in something as a file or uploading it or something like that. So this is actually a really good safe choice, and I think it's, yeah, it's to be commended. With that out of the way, however, let us begin. We're going to do the presets now, then I'll show you the randomize option, then we'll jump into the customization. So for the presets, I like the selection that they have here. They didn't go too crazy with it. You will immediately notice that it is a little dull in terms of the colors, but that is just how they do things in Monster Hunter. They expect you to jump in and go crazy with the colors, and that's cool. I think that the most important part is that they give you a phenomenal starting point here with different ethnicities, with different gruffness. You know, you can get a slightly more hardened looking veteran here, or a slightly more fine looking individual, and everything in between. And I think that that's excellent. I've got nothing to complain about where these are considered. I would say that I personally think that the females have a slightly better selection, but only slightly. I'm going to start, and I'm going to use Mr. Monster Hunter. I'm not sure what his name is, but this guy right here, he's the dude from the trailers, I think. We're going to use him for the purposes of this video, and then I'm going to show you the randomize feature. This is actually really cool, and I wish more games had something like this. You can create a new face with similar characteristics here. So if you come on in here with the character that you've finished creating, so you've customized everything, you've set it up the way you want it, then you can just come in here and you can tweak the face by a small amount. And I think it's very useful, because you might be happy with most of your character, but something might just look off. Like, just, it's the smallest little thing. You come in here, you cycle through these, and you see what's up. If you're not happy with the face at all, or if you've got the style nailed down, but you do not like the bones, then you can go completely new face, and it can mix things up entirely. Entirely. It's sick. And if you're not happy with it, you just press escape, you say no, and it puts it back on the default. So, I like that system. Excellent. Let us move on. I love that they put hair first. It is always nice, because I feel like it is one of the most impactful things. The only thing I actually complain about here is that it's good that they have hair first, but they should put face shape and physique after hair. Then they should move on to the finer details, but still, this is good. I like having hair right here. Now I'm going to leave the color like this, and I'll ask you to imagine all the different hairstyles with different colors, but I think it's a good starting point for our color. Now, I like the hair in this game. I like that they've got decent hair physics, and it's quite visible, you know, clearly present on all the different styles, but it's not overboard. It's not as good as Dragon Age the Veilguard, but I do not think any game is currently as good as Dragon Age Veilguard's system. Their physics system on the hair is just next level. It's like, yeah, that's like, it's from the future. But this is pretty much as close as you can get without being that. And I love that they have so many styles of every variety. Like, there's a lot of long stuff. There's a lot of short styles here. There are styles that you may know from, I don't know, I would say famous characters in gaming history. And yeah, man, there's pretty much something for everyone here. And on top of all of that, there is also, as we scroll through these, the option to change the hair length on a lot of these different hairstyles. So, showing you this one as an example, you'll be able to change the bangs length and then the longer parts length. You can tune it up or down. And that's very useful, because that means that even if you pick the same style as someone else, it might not end up looking the same, because you might tweak it and modify it in a different way. So yeah, I like the hair that they have available here, and when you combine it with the different color options, and again, those two different hair length settings, you've got all you need. This is beautiful. Look at that hair, man. Look at that. I also think that this color is pretty good for showing off the depth in the hair. Like, some of these look really, really good. And that's, again, going to bring us on to the next section here. Speaking of depth in the hair. I'm going to pick one that's a little bigger right now, just so that we can show it off nicely, like this one. And then I'm going to move on to the colors. So, you will see a pattern in this game. You have pretty much full RGB control of everything. And it's one of the few games, I think, out there right now that actually handles these colors quite well. I firmly believe that it's a difficult thing to have something like a full bright red on a character's head and have it actually look all right. Because I believe that these actually look all right. I've got it, the saturation and the brightness all the way to the max, and no matter where I put this hue, it looks decent, you know? Yeah, it can look a little out of place, but at the same time, they made it actually look all right in this engine and on these characters. And the main thing is that you'll want to obviously modify the rest of your character to match up with it. I've made some awesome looking designs with really bright and vibrant colors, and it's so cool. I love that they give us the option. I also love that they take it to a certain point, which is far along. It's an extreme, for sure, but they don't push everything to that point. They only push the parts that they feel would look right or make sense to that point, and hair is one of those parts, and I dig it. I dig it. Like this, for instance, is just such a beautiful color. Oh my god. Now, to show things off, I will bring this down to black. I know, that's a little boring, but I'm going to change the accent color to white. And that's just as boring. Okay, wait. Let's go with like a yellow or something, all right? Yeah, bumblebee. Who doesn't like a bumblebee? Then I'll show you the way the gradients work. So you can choose how much gets covered or how little gets covered. And then you can choose the way that the blend is done. You can have it smoother, or you can have it harsher, where it's sort of just like a line that cuts through. And both of these have their place, honestly. With certain styles, these could look better or worse. You might have, as an example, the mohawk looking better if you do it with a more stark contrast between the two colors. It's up to you. There's a lot of different bits and pieces to fiddle with where this is concerned, but overall it's nice to have the option. It really is. So yeah, you can do quite a lot with that. As I mentioned, the hair length setting is pretty cool. You will see that you have two sliders on a lot of them where you can do the bangs at the front, and then you can do the rest of the hair. And it's cool. It's really cool. And this is also a good showing of how the different color and the accents and stuff can work on different hairstyles. This is really nice how it's managed to tuck the other color underneath. I cannot even imagine how long the hairdresser took on that. But yeah, it's pretty nice. So for the purposes of the video, I'm going to be boring and not distract us. So we'll take a shorter style, perhaps something like this one at the top here. And then we are going to proceed so that we can have the face clear, right? Good. Skin options. First up, the skin color. As I mentioned, you have full RGB on certain things in this character creation system, but not on all. This, however, is still, in my opinion, probably the best way of presenting skin color, because what you have here is you have the lighter colors and you have the darker colors, and then if you pull it up to the top, you have the cooler tones, and at the bottom, the warmer tones, and you've got everything in between. It's incredibly well done and well thought out. It's simple, yet it is satisfying enough to allow you to pick whatever you like. And there's a big difference, you know, going for the cold and the warm, big difference. You can also, obviously, just use the numbers here. If you know where you want to be, if you have an idea, you know, you can sort of fiddle with the numbers and try and make that work. But I mean, if you're sliding around here, you'll find what you're looking for. It's good enough. I'm going to take something sort of in the middle for now, just because I want to show the skin textures off, and that might require some visibility. For the skin textures, you can pick one of them, and then you can set how much or how little of it is being included. So if you pull this all the way up, you will see that's the default one. Then we have basically a slightly less smooth one. This one has some beauty spots and stuff like that on. This one has some darker circles around the eyes, as you can see, and then the lighting and the shading is a little different. It's a little darker around the edges here as well. Then when we get down to the bottom over here, you will notice that there are slightly more wrinkles visible on this one. There we have some freckles, and here we have basically what I like to call mannequin skin. It's like plastic. And yeah, you can sort of pick the one you want, and you can just apply it any amount from 1 to 10. For the purposes of this video, we will just select number 1, and we'll leave it at like 5-ish. Then wrinkles. I think this game has some of the best wrinkles in the business. The older characters in this game look phenomenal, and I love how much they actually change. So if you take this one as an example, you will notice that the face's shape changes slightly when you drag this. You can see that as an example down here, the skin gets a little looser around the face. You can see it droop in a little more, and it affects everything all the way down to the neck here. I like it. I think it looks relatively good. They've done it quite well. So if you wanted an older looking character, or a character that looks a little more weather worn, like this one as an example, then yeah, this is a good port of call. Then you can also change whether or not your character has wrinkles with facial expressions. It's an interesting option that I feel is kind of weird in some ways, but it makes your character look more lifelike, because basically what you're going to see when you do this is you're going to see the different parts of the face react more to the movements that the mouth and the eyes are doing, and that's pretty cool. It's nice. It's nice. You know, it makes your smile and your character's expressions look a little bit more genuine. So that's kind of nice. Next up, eyebrow and eyelash. Kind of weird to me that they put that before. I would have, yeah, it's again, the organization is a little weird, but it's whatever. They have some really nice eyebrows here. I will say that straight off the bat, but I will also say that I was a little saddened to find that they did not have any, like, notched brows. Spots to put scars, basically. The eyebrows and all the options available here are quite important, however, because they sort of dictate the way your character is going to look when it approaches literally anything. You're going to, with these, and then with the sliders that we're about to jump into, you're going to be setting up everything about your character's facial expression. You can start any conversation by looking concerned, or angry, or contemplative. You know, you've got basically the full selection. Now for the eyebrow color, it's just full RGB, like your hair, and your recent colors will be entered here. So if you'd like to, you can just select the one that you had on your hair here, and you can match them. Now, there's a transparency option where you can show and hide the eyebrows. It works relatively well, I would say, where you can actually make them look a little finer and a little heavier. It's cool. And then we move on to the sliders. This is actually where the customization proper starts. There's a lot here. And Monster Hunter Wilds actually has some of the most natural looking movements that I've seen in a game in a long time. It is better than most where that is concerned. And that's a really good thing, obviously, because it makes it feel better when you're moving things around here, because they move around in a believable way. Eyelash color. It's risky business. You have to have a very specific style in mind to change the eyelash color. I've done it, and I've seen good characters with that, but I'm not smart enough with character customization, despite the fact that I've done so much of it, to be able to make something like that work. You can change the length of them as well. It looks a little weird when you take them off completely, but you can have them look a little bit more fabulous, and you can change the thickness as well. Yeah, if you're going for that JD Vance look, you know? All right, next up. Eye color. That's right. Yeah, eye color. So I kind of like the way they've approached this, where they give you full RGB once again, like they almost always do, but they don't give you crazy options like pictures in your eyeballs, or, you know, completely overdone or cosmetic changes to the eyes that don't make sense. It's cool. Because, you know, this is a fantasy world that we're jumping into, so the idea of random colors on your eyes, it's not so foreign. It's not so crazy. I like the way the eyes look. I think that they display well, even when you zoom all the way out to a certain point. You can see there's the point where they show, and when you jump one more back, then they go dark. It's like, it's again, it's to do with how realistic they look. But they do show well. I think I was actually changing it there. That might have been why it was doing that. Let me look quickly. If I zoom all the way out and then I change them, yeah, you can still see them. Never mind. Scratch that. It all comes down to the size of the eye, though, obviously. So if you make your eyes nice and big and you make it all very visible, then, yeah, it's going to be more impactful. But I still like the idea, and I love that you can go full-on black with it, and you can also do the sclera color full-on black if you'd like to. Go for those demonic eyes. Or you can go pure and white, and you can, yeah, do everything in between, which is excellent. I have no complaints about this system. I think it works incredibly well, And I like, again, how vibrant and full of life you can make it look. So let's go for something like a nice blue. There we go. It's not exactly blue. Blue's more on this side, but I like this one more because I think the blue's a little too dark. There we are. Beautiful. There are preset colors, obviously, that you can pick from if you are not very good at picking colors, sort of like me right now. But we'll go with that. And as I mentioned, sclera color, you can make this any color you like. You can do some pretty weird stuff with this. I have seen some really freaky looking characters. It's a difficult thing to pull off, in my opinion, but it's definitely worth visiting. If you can make something that sort of gels with the rest of your visual style, then hey, kudos to you. Iris size, it's one of those options that's quite useful, again, if you want the eyes to be more visible. And then you can do heterochromia. You can do one separate from the other. All right. Eye shape. I feel like the eye shape should have been before the eye colors and stuff like that, perhaps, just so you could set this stuff up. But here we are. Eye shape, blend in. The different options down here, they can be merged together and you can get sort of a combination of the two. But let me show you what they look like by themselves, and then you can sort of use these to pick. There's a lot of good options here, and these are quite important because some of them change the way your eyelids look. They change the way that whatever this section over here is called looks, and it is easier to get what you want if you start with a preset that looks sort of like that. You got the basic default one here, and then you got a decent selection here that once again just crosses different ethnicities and perhaps even age groups and stuff like that, where some look a little more tired than others. I can completely relate. And then you can also blend them if you'd like. So you can put one in there and one in there, and then you can blend between the two and your default, which is up at the top here. There you go. Eye size, you can go pretty nuts with this. There's the depth, the height, separation. It's the rotation that you got there. The inner corner, outer corner, upper eyelid, and yeah, you can use this to great effect to make your eyes look completely crazy, if you'd like. There's even the eye fold at the top. The eyelid fold is an option that's not often represented, and I kind of like that. It's nice that they give you that option. With these, you can go nuts both ways. So if you go all the way to the smallest, I think that you can do, well, this. And then you can go to the biggest, and you can go for that completely unhinged look, if you'd like to. So, yeah. Use with caution, and have fun. I'm not going to leave it like this. I will press R and reset. There we go. Nose. The nose options. You can do blend in once again. Useful, as I mentioned on the eye stuff, to just be able to see what you want as a starting point. Because it obviously changes how far you can go with these. So if you take a smaller nose and you move these, it will move slightly less towards the bigger side. But if you take a bigger nose as a starting point, you'll be able to do much more. As I mentioned with the previous ones, you can also blend these, so you can sort of pick them and blend them together if you'd like. But for the nose options, once again, pretty extreme. The game doesn't really hold back when it comes to this stuff. And yeah, the combinations are obviously pretty massive if you go all one way or all the other way. You can make some pretty messed up stuff, but that's part of the fun, once again. Mouth, this is kind of a fun section. You can do shape blend in. This is probably the most impactful of all the shapes or blends that you can do, mostly because they have such extremes here, where they have some, say, more regular looking mouths, and then they got much bigger ones as well, with the lips being much bigger. And again, if you combine them, yeah, you'll definitely be able to find what you're looking for, right? So you can throw them together like this. Let's take that one over here and then a bigger one over there. Or you can take two bigger ones like these and you can combine them like that. You do you. For me, I'm going to go on the default. And then width, position, up and down. the depth, the corners. A very subtle change, but it can give you that slight little smirk, you know. Then the thickness of the lips. And finally, the teeth color. It's one of those options I wish I could just remove. Yeah. So you can make your teeth any color you wish. And it can be a bit of a shocker. I've seen it. I've seen some clips of people who make their teeth like bright red, and then when their character smiles in the cutscene, you are blinded by its brilliance. Yeah, you can do anything you like here. And you can also set the stain color, which is interesting. You can even make the stain a different color. You don't have to make it black or dark. You can make it like, you know, red as well. So it can look like you have blood in your teeth or something like that. Useful. But, yeah, I'm going to pass on it. All right? I don't know, man. Facial hair. All right. So, this is always an interesting one to look at because a lot of games fail really hard on the facial hair side of things. I think they do all right in Monster Hunter Wilds. At first glance, I thought maybe there's potentially not enough. They could have a little bit more variety, but upon further inspection, I believe that they give us enough to do decent stuff with it. You know, when it's... and I don't mean to, like, stereotype this or anything, but when it comes from an Asian studio, you oftentimes expect nothing in terms of beards. Because that's like the Eastern MMOs generally have that problem, right? With this, they actually tried, and they did a reasonably good job with it. Because I believe that they have some nice beard styles here. The beards are just okay, though, in terms of the sort of texture work on the hair and the way it's put together. Some of them look really good, like this one, as an example, but some of the others, not so much. Now, you can go pretty big on them, and I like it. I think it's kind of cool, especially the fact that it has nice movement and stuff. But, I mean, that's pretty much it in terms of the biggest ones that you can go for, and some people might want more, you know? But yeah, it's cool. I specifically like this one. I like how it wags when you swing it around. It's cool. I think that there's enough. Now, for the purposes of this video, I will put, let's say, a big beard on, a big-ish beard on, this one. Then we're going to jump back and look at the mustaches, because this is the other part of this little combo here. Zoom in. And you can combine them. This is a part of the system that I actually really do like. I think that the mustaches look really good, and it's a good system done well, because they immediately link up to the beard itself in a satisfying way. You know, certain of the mustaches obviously look better on certain beards, but overall, they look relatively decent. You can sort of see which one suits which one looks good where. As an example, I'm pretty certain you're supposed to take this one and that one together, and you just look dapper and, well, handsome. But overall, yeah, I like it. I think the beards are okay. Let me leave them on quickly. I'll pick like a decent one, again, like something like this, and then I'll show you what the colors look like. Very similar to the hair in the way that the colors are applied here, but you can also match it to your hair. Your recent colors are over here, so you can pick the same colors if you'd like. And then you can also, and I will show you that right now, you can go for like a darker color here, and then you can put an accent on in the same way. So if we wanted to go for white and black, we could do that, and we could choose how much. And we could choose how, with it being a starker gradient or a smoother gradient, right? Pretty cool. I think it's well done. And if you're more subtle with your colors, so example, you take a gray here instead, you can actually make it look more natural, right? You can make it look more natural. It's kind of nice. So there you go. You can do the mustache separately, so if you want to do the mustache in a specific color, you can do that as well. But yeah, overall, the beards are fine. They are 100% fine. Now I'm actually going to take them off, and our character already looks completely different because of that. And we're going to move on to the face shape and the physique, and then I'm leaving it off just because of the makeup, so you can see how the makeup looks. Face shape, I believe, should be at the top, but regardless of that, there's actually quite a lot of cool stuff here. So you can once again do blend in. You pick two different options and you blend between them. However, for this, I'm just going to show you what all the different options look like, not the different blends, because that could go on forever. For the male characters, they have some seriously massive jawlines. They definitely favor the more angular jawlines. God, that's insane. That's insane. Above the finer ones. But, I mean, I think it's cool. And the nice thing is that you can take two of these big ones, you can combine them, and you can come up with something that's sort of in between. That looks, I mean, very Disney prince-ish, you know? Yeah, it's kind of nice. Again, we'll go with the default for now. Then we have the facial structure slider, which I actually find very interesting. This is a single slider that's moving around almost the entirety of the face. It's nuts, because you can see it's moving everything from your forehead to your eyebrows to your eyes to your nose. Everything on the front side of the face is moving forward or back. And, you know, what's kind of crazy is that these are both perfectly doable. Like, this is a decent looking fellow, and you pull it this way, same. It's actually really impressive how, again, how smoothly and how naturally things move around here. I love it. Facial length. That's basically the entire bottom half of the face that you can make longer or shorter. Cheekbones. Kind of a dangerous option here. Cheekbones are sometimes, well, you know. Cheek fullness. I believe these two, cheekbones and cheek fullness, are two options that I would say more so than almost any other options mess your character up without you realizing it. So if you're looking at your character from the front here and you change these around and you're like, oh, that looks really good, and you forget to look from the sides or from like the back, then when you jump in game, sometimes you can get a fright. You could accidentally stab one of your companions with your extremely high and jut-in cheekbones. You got to be careful. You really have to be careful. So, yeah. Cheekbones. Decent movement there. The jaw. It's like... It's crazy. It's crazy. Chin length. Also kind of crazy. And chin depth. And needless to say, you can go to the extreme with all of these. If you'd like. There we go. So, next up, the physique. There are some options here, but there aren't that many. And I'm going to say, as we jump in here now, that it makes sense, because Monster Hunter is all about collecting armor, creating different pieces for your character to wear, and I think that if they had offered us way more than what we have here, in other words, if they had gone beyond this towards the skinny side or beyond this towards the large side, then they'd have to work on separate models for the armor. And I think it would be unsustainable because of the sheer amount of detail that they put on some of these armor sets. So they don't want you going nuts with your character like you could maybe in Street Fighter that we recently looked at, because it would make the armor clip, it would make it look bad, and the game is all about the armor and the weapons and everything else, so that would be a bad look for them. So they don't allow that. However, you can set your muscle mass. It's basically your overall weight of the character. Your characters are all fit in this game. That's just a fact, okay? And then you can set the muscle definition. So you can be more ripped or less ripped. Both fine, all looks good. I like that we get this, but at the same time, it would have been cool if we had a little bit more. Maybe that's just my take on it. So, next up, probably the most impactful part of the character creator after maybe the hair. I like the hair. I always like to say that the hair is the most impactful. But the makeup, it can let you do literally anything. So there's a bunch of designs here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the paint color on just the plain black for now. And I'm going to go through all these different options and show you. But you have everything here from regular makeup, like eyeliner and eyeshadow, all the way through to face paints and everything else in between, like tattoos and scars and whatever your heart desires. Then you've also got this one, which is an entire face cover. And because you have full RGB control over the face paint and the makeup here, you can make your character look like their skin is any color without actually making their skin that color. It's pretty cool. It's nice. Then there's a bunch of texture settings for these as well that we'll look at in just a moment that can allow you to make it more glossy, that can allow you to make it more metallic looking, that can allow you to make it shine. You can add luminescence to it, which is kind of nuts, actually. But there's a decent selection here. It definitely looks better than Monster Hunter World. I believe that there's always room for improvement when it comes to tattoos and face paints and stuff. And I mean, like, for the most part, the room for improvement is actually just the fact that there could be more, you know, they could add more options, because that's always cool. But for the most part, I think that they have enough here, especially if you consider the amount that you can change these. And we'll get to that in just a moment, so do not worry. I'm just going through all of these quickly to show you what they look like. The scars look kind of gross. They look disgusting, which is exactly what you want from them. And yeah, a lot of it can be modified. So for this, let's just take as an example this one right here. Then I'll show you that you can change the colors to literally anything you like. You can do full RGB once again. I'm not going to do it here. I'll leave it on that for now. You can change the opacity. On the scars specifically, that allows you to color them in with a color or make them look more natural and or healed. You can move them around anywhere on the face, right? And then you can change their size, which is crazy. Like, you can go to the maximum or you can go to the minimum, and it's nice. It's good. I have no complaints about this. You can sort of mess things up, but that's on you, right? So you do this the way you want to do this. If you want to make things extreme and look a little silly, you can. Again, the fact that they give you that option is the most important part. Then you can change the angle as well. So you can sort of flip it around 360 degrees. Flip horizontally, flip vertically, if that wasn't enough. And then you can add 2 by clicking the symmetry button. You can have 1 on each side. And then when you move it around, they both move. It's cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, as we move on here, I'm going to show you the texture settings. And I'll select something like these ones for that. I'll show you what's available. I'm going to leave the color on what it is now. You can set it to be matted or glossy, which is nice. Then there's a sheen option, which is, I think it's sort of like the metallic setting. It says there the metallic sheen at the bottom. I would have called it metallic instead of sheen, but I guess sheen is the right word. And then there's also the dimension setting. The dimension, they say it's less noticeable on certain styles. I don't exactly know how it works, but the way I see it is on things like the scars, it adds a little bit more depth to it, which makes it look a little bit more natural. And then finally you have luminescence, which is just nuts. It basically brightens things up. You can use this to make your character's eyes glow or lips glow or different parts of their face. You know, you can do whatever with it. It's very cool, and it's a very cool way to do certain things like make blood on your character's face. So if you change this to like a red color, a darker red, you can make it look like a bloody splat on the face. This is not a great example. That's probably, is there, yeah, I don't know. That's too bright, but you get the idea. And a lot of these different options, they react differently to the different texture settings. So if you want to make your character, as an example, look completely metallic, you can do that with this by taking that and then coming over here and then selecting something akin to gold, you know, and it's nice to have that option. Not that I feel like this is a really great looking character, but you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. So yeah, and that can all be applied to everything in here. So you can move it all around, you can do whatever, and you can just go nuts. Whatever your heart desires. Then you can do it 2 more times, which is excellent. So if you are looking to do something, say, more natural with this, you want to add some of those, like I saw some nice freckles there, right? You add some nice freckles on this one, then you can go with this one and you can perhaps add some face paint, and then on the final one, you can potentially throw in a scar, if that's what you're looking for. It's cool. It's a lot of options, and I'll honestly tell you right here, I cannot begin to show you all of it off. This takes time. Like, you have to sit here and you have to really like fiddle with these options because there's so much that can change. So I truly appreciate all the stuff that they've done with it. I think that it is a phenomenal system, and I think that it's awesome that they trust the players as much as they do, because hey, we get to have more fun with it. Now, we've looked at all the options, the customization options. Let's give a listen to the voices. But before we do, I'm just going to say this voice pitch option, you should just ignore it. What it does is, it allows you to change the pitch of the voice, but it makes it sound so stupid.
Impressive. Thanks. This is serious.
Impressive. Thanks. This is serious.
It is basically like a tinny version of it where it's the cheapest possible way to change the pitch. So they don't have a deeper voice for it. They just change in the pitch with a program or software or whatever, and it sounds kind of stupid. So rather just pick the voice you want, pick the gruffer voice, pick the finer voice, pick whichever you like and skip the pitch. I'll let you listen to the voices, you can make your mind up.
Impressive. Thanks. This is serious.
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 There's a good selection of voices. I like it. Yeah. You can pick whichever one you like here, and then roll on to the bearing options. Confident or graceful. Both very similar. Very similar. But different. There you go. Then, clothing. So the way this works is, these are your underclothes. Well, they're not exactly your underclothes, but this is your actual clothing, not the armor you put in over it. There are 4 different choices that you have here, and you can mix and match them. So if you come into the detailed settings over here, you can use whichever top you want with whichever bottoms and middles that you want, and you can just do whatever suits the character that you're going for. Yeah, so it's kind of a nice system, and I think that your character, I'm not sure how often you actually see your character in these sets of clothes that you customize here, but I mean, there is a possibility that you will, so you probably want to pay attention to it. But I do think you can change this when you're in the game, so it shouldn't be a problem either way. But you can mix and match, and you can sort of fiddle around with the different options here and get what you feel works the best. I personally like the bigger belts, the more bulky ones. And then on top of that, you get to change the colors. So individual color choices here for all of them. I will make everything black just so that you can see what it looks like. I find that the leather actually changes quite naturally, which is nice. Generally, you expect things like leather not to accept the colors all that well. So there you go. Pretty cool. This is obviously different based on the armor that you're wearing. Well, the outfit that you have on, essentially. And then you can also just change the whole of it here. So, just an easier way of doing it. There you go. Pretty cool. Underclothes. For that, I might need to just switch over here. This is basically a undershirt and some tights. You can also make these whichever color you want, so you can go anywhere at all with it on both of them. If you don't want to show skin, then this is what you will choose. Our final stop here, the starter armor. There are 2 different sets that you can pick from. They're both called Hope. I'm not sure what the icon here means, but there you go. And you can mix and match those as well. Like, personally, I like the little mask hanging off the top here, so I'd pick that. Then you can pick this one that has some chainmail on and some plate pieces on, or you can go for the one that looks more like furs. And yeah, you can pick whatever you like, and you can also go for none. So you can sort of just start with nothing, if that's what you want. There you go. And that, my friends, does bring us to the end of this video. If you'd like to, you can just keep watching to see the custom creations that I made for the thumbnail or just for fun. But now we're moving on to the outro. And here in the outro, I'm just going to say basically what I've been echoing this entire time. It's just a better version of Monster Hunter World, which is what I think everyone wanted. It's Monster Hunter World, but with extra options and improved UI and user-friendly focuses. They just make it all feel so much easier when you're going through here. And I will also say that as a mouse and keyboard player, it was far more intuitive than it was in World. World was really difficult to navigate at certain points, so they've definitely learned from that. The visuals themselves are crisper and clearer, and the hair physics are looking quite a lot better than they did before. The smaller details when you zoom all the way in, phenomenal. It's just improved in every single way, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's also awesome that the characters look as good as they look here in the game. So hey, yeah, thumbs up. Very, very cool. Now, with that done, I will say that you can give this video a like and share it and do all that other good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can find my links below, my Ko-fi page and my Twitch channel. And again, if you want to see those custom creations, just keep watching. Happy that.